The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is losing a record number of its membership.
If there are any among this people who should ever apostatize, prepare your backs for a good whipping.
The Lord wants all his children to partake of the eternal blessings available in his temple. He has directed what each person must do to qualify to enter his holy house. All requirements to enter the temple relate to personal holiness. To assess that readiness, each person who wants to enjoy the blessings of the temple will have 2 interviews. First, with a bishop, bishopric counselor, or branch president. Second, with a stake or mission president or one of his counselors. In those interviews, several questions will be asked. Some of those questions have recently been edited for clarity. I would like to review them for you now. Are you a full tithe payer?
Tithe paying is evidence that we accept the law of sacrifice. It also prepares us for the law of consecration and the other higher laws of the celestial kingdom.
We should also be cautious about the motivation of the one who provides information. That's why the scriptures warn us against priestcraft.
This work is a fraud.
Travis Wayne Goodsell. It's all finished with Superman and Lois. It was their final season, season 4. Didn't last long, but that's okay, because the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is planning on destroying the world to get their kingdom back. Mormons refuse to run the scriptural test for truth. They think that they can misinterpret Moroni chapter 10 to get away with the minimal amount of just having the right feeling for truth and ignore the science that is throughout all scripture of turning the word into the results and thus being able to judge whether the word was good or bad, right or wrong, true or false. And so, for example, Spencer W. Kimball put on the subtitle for the Book of Mormon, Another Testament of Jesus Christ. And so it blatantly goes in the face of the word of the Book of Mormon itself. 1 Nephi chapter 1 verse 2, learning of the Jews. Jews are not Christians, Christians are not Jews. Christians did not come from Jews. It was created by Roman Emperor Constantine with the First Creed. First Creed is not an affirmation of the Jewish interpretation. Jews tend to disagree. is Christian hatred that is the results of the word of the first creed of Christianity. It is abomination. It is hatred of Jews that is the results of the first creed of Christianity. It is, as Joseph Smith says, all wrong, abominable, and corrupt. And here you have Mormons doing the same thing to Joseph Smith in the Book of Mormon. Talk about evil of their own founder, of their own keystone. Mormons are worse than Christians. And so, because of simply running this scriptural test for truth, everything the church says and does are all lies, falsehoods, corruptions, crimes. There is nothing good in it. There is nothing true. In case you hadn't read your scriptures about obtaining truth by running the test. You cannot produce good fruit from a bad seed. We know the word is false, therefore no truth can come from them. Just like the first creed of Christianity. And all the church did under Brigham Young was change the nature and character only to non-Trinitarian. Can't do that. The whole thing is corrupt. Can't just change one of it. Got to change it all to restore the Jews. And so, Section 119 is a long list of crimes that are found in our law codes for the federal government, even for the state of Utah. This violates the laws of Utah even, which is weird because Mormons created the laws of Utah. For example, we're not supposed to gamble, and yet church gambles. Yep. So yeah, lots of crimes here beyond just the 7 verses. Because for the building of mine house, there's a long list just for that alone. Not just priesthood, of which this church is not a church. It is not a legitimate religion. Fruit of the poison tree, which is the same thing. A corrupt seed cannot produce a legal precedent. It's all corrupt. But I'm going to focus this video to the threat that is put in here after they get their kingdom back. And it's found in the second to last 2 verses. Verse 5. Verily I say unto you, it shall come to pass that though all those who gather unto the land of Zion shall be tithed of their surplus properties, and shall observe this law, because it's not a donation, Judge Shelby needs to be notified, or they shall not be found worthy to abide among you. Their plot, after getting their kingdom back, is to kick out of Utah all the apostates. to boot us out and deport us, or lock us up, torture us, abuse us, murder us, because we are not worthy to abide in their kingdom. This is the danger all of Utahns face. If you're a partial tithe payer, but you think you're faithful and attending church and attacking me on my YouTube channel, sorry. They want loyalty. You do not pay them. You put your life first before the church. So I don't care if you torture me, that's just an added bonus. But then you don't get supported by the church. They want your servitude. And so again, they repeat it. And I say unto you, if my people observe not this law, to keep it holy, and by this law sanctify the land of Zion unto me, that my statutes and my judgments may be kept thereon. See what he's doing here? He's saying that paying of tithing is where worthiness comes from. That paying tithing sanctifies the land. Dear God, this is beyond priestcraft. This is making Mammon your God, and making Mammon the God of the people. That it may be most holy. See, that's no. Behold, verily, verily, I say unto you, it shall not be a land of Zion unto you. Now understand that Joseph Smith tells us we need to get to Zion, because if we don't, there's some unfortunate things are going to happen. So in section 45, he's writing scripture in the same manner that the Bible was written by Jews. And so he takes Matthew 24 and adds and alters it for Mormons specifically. So it's not a literal history. It's not Christian interpretation. Remember, Jewish. Mormons are Jews here. The Jesus character is not Christian Jesus. It's the Jewish Christ who comes after Joseph Smith. Born just like Mormons. Raised just like Mormons. And so, talking about Zion, the New Jerusalem, it shall be called the New Jerusalem, a land of peace, a city of refuge, a place of safety for the saints of the Most High God. That's his name, Emmanuel, sun god at noonday of the Egyptians. And the glory of the Lord shall be there, and the terror of the Lord shall also be there, insomuch that the wicked will not come unto it, and it shall be called Zion. See the difference? The wicked don't want to live in Zion. But section 119 says we're kicking out the unworthy wicked who don't pay. See the difference? And it shall come to pass among the wicked that every man that will not take his sword against his neighbor must needs flee unto Zion for safety. Well, they just said they're going to murder you in Zion for being wicked. You're unworthy. That's what Brigham Young did. Mormons who were wicked, he murdered them. If a Mormon girl married a black man, both she and her husband dead. If you didn't want to be a part of the church and you didn't pay your tithing, dead. This is what's coming if this church wins and gets their kingdom back. This is not Joseph Smith's way. And there shall be gathered unto it out of every nation under heaven, and it shall be the only people that shall not be at war one with another. Because this church is setting it all up to get their kingdom back, to cause civil war and world war, to get their kingdom back. Because if the federal government falls and we descend into civil war, Utah is secure in this valley for the most part. We'll have to put up military outposts at the entrances, at the tops of the mountains, to keep people from going through the mountains. Of course, there are lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Cougars. Not the female cougars. Not the BYU cougars. And so, again, it repeats, it shall be said among the wicked, let us not go up to battle against Zion, for the inhabitants of Zion are terrible, wherefore we cannot stand. The wicked don't want to live in peace, safety, and refuge. And so they stay away. But the church is going to kick out the righteous from their Zion. As wicked, they will kick out the righteous. And it shall come to pass that righteousness shall be gathered, the righteous shall be gathered out from among all nations. We need the real Zion, and we need it very soon. Judge Shelby needs to be notified of Section 119. So everybody knows that you're not supposed to pay to be worthy. Everybody knows about priestcraft. But as the Book of Mormon continues on, after defining priestcraft in 2 Nephi 26, 29, and forbidding it again in 30, he says, the laborer in Zion shall labor for Zion. For if they labor for money, they shall perish. The church wants you to labor for money, to be worthy, to get an inheritance in Zion as an extortion threat. Otherwise, you're wicked and you are cast out. And this, they say, is the love of Jesus. But it's not practicing priestcrafts, which is the love of Christ. Verse 30. There cannot be any monetary system of economy. And the fact that this criminal operation is planning to have a monetary system of economy in their Zion, again, is part of that long list of crimes. It's not a complicated doctrine. It is not complicated to find this in scriptures. You can go to the passages for yourself to make sure I read them right. And yet there will still be Mormons who will want to murder me and you, just like they murdered Joseph Smith and Mormons in 1838 on. That is this church, and it is fully corrupt to the core. They must not win, or shall I say prevail.